Hello, friend. Welcome back to my place. I thought today maybe we could just go for a little walk on the farm and I could tell you what became of the farm after the sale in the fall of 2011 when we sold the bulk of the milking herd. Things started to look a little bit different around here. And here 13 years later, they've never returned to what they were. Not yet, anyway. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. As I have said in a previous video, it broke my heart when everything changed so fast. But thankfully, we didn't have to sell everything. We still had little baby calves. We had all ages of Jersey heifers. And the oldest of those heifers some of them were already bred to be able to have their own babies and start milking. And so when they did, we had to have a place for them to go because we lived so far from where our milk was shipped to that having just a small number of cows and a small amount of milk would have cost a tremendous amount just in shipping to get it to the plant where it needed to go. So my dad made the decision to partner with another dairyman who lived closer and who had his milk being picked up anyway. And so we would calve the cows here. They'd have their babies here. We'd get them started milking, and then we would take them to his place. And we still have that kind of arrangement today. It's worked out well for the most part, and maybe it's not ideal, but it helps us to maintain our assets, which is exactly what my dad asked me to do. He asked me to, if I did not want to get the dairy up and running completely myself, then at least just to maintain the assets until all of the grandchildren were old enough to know if they wanted to do it. And so far, we have one who has an interest. So he may or may not do it, but we're gonna have cows available to him if that's what he chooses to do. So when people ask me about the farm and find out that I'm a dairy woman, I say it's complicated. It's not a typical dairy, and that's part of why I've hesitated to share much of it, because it's not the representation I want to give of the dairy industry. Obviously, having grown up on a dairy farm, dairy it's a part of who I am, and I want to represent it well. And so, but you're not here for that. You're not here for perfection. You're here for real and honesty, and I'm just a girl out here trying to figure out what's next in life, and so it looks a little different than the norm. That's okay. There are big hopes and dreams for this place, and God willing, we'll see them come to fruition. In the meantime, I just want to be as good of a steward as I can and appreciate the beauty that I do have around me. Like listening to this babbling creek. In 2016, we came really close to getting the dairy fully operational again, but it did not make sense. You know, part of my heart wanted it so bad, but I just knew that the time wasn't right. And there was a reason why the time wasn't right. When my dad was in his 20s, before I was ever even born, he was diagnosed with kidney disease. But by the grace of God, he didn't really ever have any problems with his kidneys until into the 2000s. And it became progressively worse. And by 2016, he was very, very ill. But dairy farming was really in his blood. He had wanted to be a dairy farmer since he was a little bitty child. It was his dream that he didn't see come to fruition until he was 30 years old. And not being fully operational was so hard for him. Even though he knew with his health, it didn't make sense. He just wanted it so bad. But he finally realized that it just wasn't a good idea. And so we aborted that plan and continued on with the arrangement that we had with the partner. Not only did he realize, because of his own health, that getting the dairy going again was a bad idea, but that was also the same year that we received my mom's official diagnosis. Alzheimer's disease. And the next 5 years were the hardest he would face for the rest of his life. So I've kind of been all over the place with this video, but I hope that it at least explains a little bit, and at least maybe you can enjoy this beautiful day that we're having. I look forward to sharing a lot more with you and telling stories. I have a lot of stories to share. I would encourage you to find a way to share your stories and to process all the things you've been through. I get so lost in my thoughts, and I don't even know where to start. I think that I will end this with sharing a quote that came from my dad, actually. And it came during that time when we were thinking about getting the farm back up and running in 2016. And he was so sick, and he was so distraught over my mom. And I was upset, obviously. And he sent a text message, and it said, "Take a deep breath. Look around at all the blessings around you. Don't become angry in your circumstances. This too shall pass." Thank you for being with me today, friend. I hope you'll join me again. And until next time, keep on keeping on.